Alright, how's everyone doing tonight? Hopefully my mic's working. Yeah, it is. Alright. We're going to start with the green-black obliterator list, because that list looked like the most fun to me. I have a soft spot for Phyrexian Obliterator. I love that card. I can't keep that one. Sand's fine. In the dark, we probably throw a swamp back. Or just throw the bushwhack back. Probably just throw the bushwhack back, actually. Domain, most likely. And it's not particularly good against Domain. Do have Maelstrom Pulse. Get rid of their beans if they have one. Start off on Preacher and see where we go from there. Attack for 2. Get a 1/1, draw a card. That's brutal. Forgot about Ride's End. Yep, that is an Overlord. Honestly, turning this into a 3/3 and picking up our thing doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world. They want to trade both their things with our... Man, I'm playing poorly today. Forgot our thing got exiled. Jeez. That was a rough first game back. Good. Interesting. There's another pulse. Probably just pulse the Overlord so it doesn't come down and beat us up too bad next turn. We were very far behind at this point. It's not good. Sentinel's not good enough. We're getting past this thing. Let's go to game 2. Alright, what do we want here? I want the 4th Duress. Cut downs are bad. Anoints are bad. Definitely want the Unholy Annex. Terra Sunders, Tranquil Throwback. Don't need the Obstinate Baloths. Probably supposed to have the Stonebrains in here. Don't want the Archfiend of the Dross. Probably better than Harvester, Mizo, and Geeks Command. Also, Phyrexian Obliterator is pretty bad here. Probably supposed to do that. Unholy Annex is definitely pretty good in this matchup. Definitely what it's for. Not bad. We can start under Duress into Caustic Bronco. Don't hate that start.
How long is that timer for?
5.5 minutes. Should be just about ready to go. Take the up the beanstalk here. They can get lost our Caustic Bronco, but I think that's fine.
I like the clock.
I'm pretty happy with that being their turn. Analyze the pollen for a land when they already have quite a few in hand. Really need to find a land off this Caustic Bronco. Stick another threat. Sick. Whatever we stick is going to get hit with a Get Lost. Probably would rather just have the Sentinel get lost here. At least that leaves us with a map token. Do I want to play second Sentinel to crew the Caustic Bronco? I think I do. Doing good, Cerebral. How are you doing? It was our first game of the evening. How's it going for you? Hope everyone's having a good night in chat. It's good to be back. Definitely leaving Dread Knight on top. Attack for 8. Then we'll Duress and see what they got. We've got some map tokens to sack still. If we want to pump any of these up a little further. Should be able to, like, push through. Did they double block one of them? No, they block. I'm having such a hard time reading what they did. Okay, that's what I thought. Alright, I'm assuming that means they have a Sunfall or a Day of Judgment in their hand. They sure do not. Well, let's pump up the jam on each of our creatures, make them that much bigger. I still want that. Now, attacking with this just leaves us dead to Azure if they top deck one to animate the Overlord of the Mistmore, so I think we need to keep the Terra Sunder up. So I think we'll just go for potentially another damage here. Go for Throw, it's not a bad one. A little there, loop since a little after 8th Drift came out. Yeah, it actually, this specific Golgari list went 9-1 at the PT, which is crazy because it's playing Phyrexian Obliterator, which is not a card I would have pegged for being good right now. Golgari and Domain were like the big winners out of the PT. So the biggest surprise was that we had a big downfall in the Pixie list. There's a lot of really cool lists out of the PT. I was very happy with kind of how the metagame shifted for it. It's pretty neat. Quite a few good different archetypes performed well. A lot of Domain though. So I feel like there'll be a lot of Domain on the ladder for the coming days. I cannot keep this one. This is better. Throw one of these away. Yeah, that's the only downside. There will be a decent amount of Domain coming forward, I think. Yes, very good news if you know how to beat Sir. Or if you're used to playing against the Domain deck. There's definitely a lot of... You can exploit the Domain deck a little bit, I believe. Opponent's hand's very good here. That's right, all hail the Bean Overlords. We got the Beans and the Overlords these days. Lots of beans on the stream, I think. That's good. Should give you a chance for a lot of success on the ladder in the coming days, I would think. So, they get Overlord next turn. We just do not have a very good way to interact with what we need to do here. Without having a removal spell for the Zur or the Overlord. Question, are we supposed to Bushwhack or are we supposed to just hope to naturally draw in the line? I think we're supposed to try to find a lane here. We have to be able to put this Archfiend into play, I think. Terra Sunder was a phenomenal draw. Ride's End is amazing. Yes, Ride's End was one of the removal spells I think they were missing. Getting that exile effect on it is so much better than the Sea Slumber or whatever the other one was that cost 2 less. I completely agree. I think that really changed how the deck performs. Ride's End was just a massive addition. It was just Archfiend turn, right? Start beating down. That a Ride's End? Yep. Let's get Sentinel down, throw the counter on the Sentinel, or try to. See what we hit. Another Unholy Annex. We can't keep that. We need to find a way to deal with an enchantment if they get one into play. Problem is, if we find an Overlord to go with the Zur, we're cooked. That'll do it. I think that we could probably leave this town and Rage, maybe. I don't know. I think it'd probably be best to just see them all go. But I don't think Standard's in a bad place either. So I don't think we're going to see any changes. We're just toast here. Yeah, I expect no changes either. Then, that's a lot of Zers. The only nice thing about the way the format is currently, the standard is like standard's in a place where I think there are ways to combat all of the good decks. It's just hard to beat all three of them at the same time, which I don't think is the worst place to be. That's why I don't have like an obvious best deck. Domain just has the best way to beat all three of the good decks, I think, just because it is the most powerful of the decks. You can stumble with Domain and still just kind of run everybody over. Let's get rid of these little uptick tokens here. That way we don't have to stare at them. I would be shocked if they made any banning announcements anytime soon. I think we'll be rolling with this standard for quite a while without any changes. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It is tough. Like, all three of the decks put you in a different kind of a pinch. I mean, I really hope we don't just play against Domain all night tonight. It is pretty punishing. You're not wrong. Were the Domainless at the PT actually playing Razorbird's Thicket? Go Obliterator. This is definitely not the matchup where Phyrexian Obliterator shines. Although it is a quick clock. Yep. Try to draw another land here. Go ahead. I have a Dread Knight. That is a temporary lockdown. There's the beans that I did not want to see. So the question is, do we just have to kill the beans here, or can we try to expand our board? They missed a land drop. We just kill this thing. Yes, all the cut downs will be going away, and same with these Annoyed Afflictions. This is just the worst thing we'd be running into, is just multiple domain decks. I'm fairly impressed that this deck did so well with all the domain. Yeah, there's been a lot less cut downs floating around. Yeah, we're just not beating this board. We're going to make some sweeping changes post-board. Get all these cut downs out of here. I know with Afflictions. Obstinate Baloth, Obliterators. Harvester of Misery. She might be correct to keep that in and cut one of these Bushwhacks. Cut down has really lost a lot of favor recently. Like before the PT, there's a lot of lists that were cutting a lot of their cut downs. Yeah, the only nice thing about the cut down is being able to cast at instant speed is huge sometimes, especially if you're playing against the more aggressive Gruul decks. Like, anytime you're playing against the leyline version of the Gruul deck, you really want it. Nah, I doubt it. I doubt that it will get the axe. Doesn't mean that it shouldn't, but I doubt that it will. This hand doesn't really do anything, but I think we're supposed to keep it. I would really like to have just a duress in this hand, would be great. How you doing, Romeo? I do want to try out the Orzhov Pixie list tonight, too. And the Esper Paragon list are like the 3 decks that I really wanted to try out today. I think I'm supposed to draw a card. Yeah. See where the meta is after rotation. I'm kind of curious what this format would have looked like if we would have had the rotation that we should have had. Man. Like, if we would have had rotation instead of getting the sets to just get... Instead of just adding sets, if we would have had rotation at the 2-year mark instead of getting the 3 years worth of sets. Yeah, we're just toast. They brought in Negate against me. It's an incredibly rude opponent. That's rough. Makes it tough to win when your deck's built after something and you can't draw it. Makes it real tough to win those games. We're having a little bit of a rough go with the Obliterator list here. Hopefully we can queue into something that's not Domain. That'd be really cool. Please, please be anything that is not Domain. Sand is great. If opponent does not go turn 1 like Hushwood Verge or Lush Portico. Let me just play against a creature deck. Yes, a creature deck. I think this doesn't need to be in the main anymore. I think Pixie lists are going to start falling off. I wonder if we can find some ways to change some things around to get it a better Domain matchup game 1. Ooh, Dredger's inside. Okay. Okay, so we're playing against the Delirium. Probably still just want to stick Sentinel to Nameless City here.
You done?
No, I'm still eating.
It's pretty good.
It is really good. 4 Stone Brain's a lot of Stone Brain. Yeah, if you can get, or even just getting Zur out of their deck's pretty helpful. So we're just going to put a counter here. Or do we just play Obliterator? Like, there's no good way to have to deal with an Obliterator, right? Yeah. We just cast Obliterator here. Attack into that opponent. Not fair. It's a lot of fears. Oh, that was a pretty good one. I think I want to throw the counter on the Sentinel of the Nameless City. Don't need a duress. We'll attack for 9. I don't think this is going to go well for the opponent. It's time to climb. How's it going, Alex? That's true. They do rely heavily on the Everywhere token. No, opponent did not, in fact, read the card. I was not expecting the double block on the Obliterator. Seemed like an aggressive choice. Duresses are pretty poor here. King's Command seems kind of good. Honestly, probably want the Stone Brains, just take the Afterburner Expert out of their deck. That's probably where we want to be. Obliterator seems like just the best possible thing we can do here. Yeah, that was a rough game for opponent. But I bet opponent never does that again. It was a learning experience. That's possible. I've definitely made mistakes thinking a card did something it didn't do. Not understanding it or not remembering a different art. Build the Afterburner Expert. Probably just pick up Copperline Gorge here. Yep. Not being able to go for the throat, this is such an annoying thing. So they're playing Screaming Nemesis. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting Screaming Nemesis. Usually the Delirium decks don't play that card. Or if they do, they play like maybe one on the board. One or two. So this doesn't seem like a matchup I would expect them to bring it in. Another Patchwork. Makes sense. I will block, I promise. Here we just pulse the two Patchworks, right? I feel like you just always take the 2-for-1 when you get it with the Maelstrom Pulse, at least for the most part. Especially against the creature deck. Ooh, that's gross. That is a 4/5 that gets to attack guys. If they have a Violent Urge, would you just die here? Well, they didn't have Violent Urge, so that's good. But it's probably correct to go for the throat that thing instead of casting this. But I really wanted to just cast this. Nah, we're just casting this. I don't know how they're supposed to beat this either. This is better against them having like some random haste creature. Block. Well, that went well. Yes, this deck went 9-1 at the PT and made top 8. 9-1 in the constructed rounds. Kind of curious as to what they played against. I mean, if they just played against a bunch of Gruul Mice, this deck would just run through them. Yeah, like the first time I played, like right when I started playing Magic, it was when when Phyrexian Obliterator was first printed, and I absolutely love this card. So I have a sweet spot to play it anytime I get the chance. I'm not sure. I didn't watch the top 8. I'm assuming it lost to Domain. Domain is definitely like the worst matchup for this deck. Not close. Oh, was it the other Golgari deck? I thought it was this one. I think let's just play this as a 3/2. Hey, B, how's it going? Oh, it was the green. It was that one. Yes. Were there 2 Golgari decks in the top 8? Or was it just one? Oh, it was just the Graveyard one. For some reason, I thought this one made top 8. The graveyard deck went 7 and 3 in constructed. Let's go ahead and just attack with both these and see what opponent wants to do, and then we'll play Obliterator after they cast a Go for the Throat or something. Yeah. Value. Phyrexian Obliterator. Your move, opponent. I'm so glad I get to cast Phyrexian Obliterator again. Even if it's not great. Love that card so much. This thing, whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you play those cards. Discard the Bushwhack. I guess I could save it to kill this, discard the 2 lands. Alright, doesn't seem worth it. I'm having a Bushwhack, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'll know it with Affliction. I think it's better to get the damage in. It's better than just trying to anoint with the Tiny Bones or whatever they cast this turn. Hey Brian, how's it going? I'm glad to save the Anoint with Affliction so we can kill the 6/6. Oh, is there another thing we can cast with it too? Nice, nice. Attack for 3. How much does this deal if I have less cards? Is it 2? It's just 2. Okay. I'm okay with taking 2. I'd rather not lose more cards. Hey, Desert, how's it going? Yeah, it was a rough weekend for Magic, but that's alright. It happens. Can't win them all. I'll get back to the PT. I'm not too worried about it. See if we can't requalify in Minneapolis. Did go 5 and 2 in the Standard Cup, which is cool. On Saturday, that was fun. We barely miss out on top 8 in the Standard Cup. Nah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I'm not shocked. Like, Pixie was the best deck going into the tournament, so I'm not shocked people were like very well prepared for it. I just didn't expect Domain to be near as big of a field as it was. I was expecting a bunch of people to still bring Mice, and the Pixie matchup against Mice is just so good that I couldn't help myself. We lose 2. I just gotta decide what we want to do here. Well, I think since we can do both, we're going to start with just drawing a card. We can still activate this if we want to. So we get to draw a card regardless. So I think we're supposed to send the... I think we're supposed to just animate this. Spend 2 in there and 4 at them. I think that's what we're supposed to do. I think Domain is very, very good. It is one of those decks that, even when it doesn't draw well, can still win. It's just so incredibly powerful. And I think Ride's End was a lot bigger upgrade to the deck than what everyone expected, including myself. But being able to just exile things against the Gruul deck, I think, was huge for that deck's success. I'm going to. Yeah, dude, the Final Fantasy set looks expensive, and I want as much of it as I can get. Really unfortunate we lost another card here. I mean, we just have to crack in for 4 here. They're forced to block. Then we get to play Mossel Dread Knight. I'm hoping to qualify for the PT for that too. I'd really like to get to the Final Fantasy PT, like more than any other that's been around for a while. I'm very, very excited for that set. I think that's fair. I don't think that's like an incorrect thing to do. You just need as much as you can get for that matchup right now. The green-black deck needs... I mean, you need quite a bit for that matchup. It's rough. Your game 1... Like, your playing game 1 is to beat the aggro decks, so games 2 and 3 you have to try to beat that, and your deck just doesn't line up very well against it. Gotcha. We're playing as just like, probably just want to duress, trim a couple cut downs. I think we still want summon the Anointed Afflictions. I think we need the Archfiends. Obliterator's pretty rough here. No. Do want the Unholy Annexes and the Archfiends, I think. Some ways to draw cards. Not really all that worried about their enchantments. Yeah, there's a bunch of Pixie there. It's pretty sweet. I'm a huge fan of Phyrexian Obliterator, so it's kind of hard to judge so far. Our first 2 matches were against Domain, and we got kind of rolled, which isn't shocking. But after that, the Mono Red or the Delirium game was super easy, and this game seems a little better. Yeah, there was like no cage decks, which I also thought was a little weird because I think the cage decks are better than that. I was expecting it to be the 4th most represented deck, and it wasn't, which is a little weird to me. So I feel like that deck is really good. We're going to try that out tonight. I'm excited to try that deck out. It looks really interesting to me. I think we do just want to draw a card. Double Unholy Annex, huh? Okay. Just really hoping for a way to kill a demon. Well, let's attack first, I guess. See what we find. A duress, huh? We'll see what you got. They have a bunch of swamps. Yeah, you need to be more aggressive. Like the Gruul decks are slowed down a bunch to like deal with the Pixie lists, so that's I think why they are struggling with Domain now when they didn't used to. But you can't really go over Domain, so you need to go under them. Is the only way to make that matchup better. Really unfortunate we just didn't draw a removal spell here. Do you think we have to do this and then force them to waste their turn again to make another ritual token? It's still not good for us, but I think it's what we have to do. There were some monument decks at the PT. It does struggle with combo, because that's like the deck that goes over the top. But it depends on what kind of combo deck. Because like if you're a graveyard-centric combo deck, you're going to have a hard time because they could just jam a bunch of Rest in Peace in the board. And they also have access to Leyline Binding, which can take anything. Is another hard part. I think the blue-red monument deck was the one that... I think there's a blue-red monument deck that was there, but I don't think it did very well. It was also kind of sad. I was hoping that the monument decks would be a little better. They could, yes. I mean, that's kind of what we were doing. Or what I was doing was playing monuments in the list, because it was easy to do that. Man, there's nothing we can do here. I can't beat the double annex. Center around flickering Lauren, cards like that. Fair. Well, I mean, that Orzhov Pixie list does really well at like bouncing around Laurens. Try this, I guess. Alright, see if we can get game 3 on the play. Maybe we won't get ran over by double annex this time. Or maybe they'll let us keep one of our annexes to try to combat it back. Sounds fine. Nothing amazing, but not a bad hand. Is it time for a duress? Dreams of Steel and Oil. I wonder how many hand disruption spells are on. We saw Binding Negotiations, Dreams of Steel and Oil, and Duress last game. Then obviously they're playing Bandit's Talon as well. Can't not play that just in case we draw another Blooming Marsh. So I could make use of that to effects accrue every turn. There's quite a few different things that flicker right now. Just don't know how many of them are actually decent. Ugh. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, they're going to take all the things out of our hand, and we're just going to have our lands and hopefully draw well. Talk about hand disruption. Jesus. Well, let's go get a land. Yep, you have a Tiny Bones. Beat him down. They are. They've pushed up to a lot of... I mean, it might be time for you to be able to play like graveyard decks again. Maybe Delirium or something is actually good now. Because they're kind of trimming out on the Sunfalls, which was the hardest card for you to beat. Day of Judgment's not near as bad to beat. Alright. Can we hit them with Restless Cottage until they die? That is the question. Hey, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good night and enjoying the stream. Thanks for coming and hanging out. So we'll just play the 5-4. Just so they can't take it. Sure, you do get to play Rest in Peace. They don't play Soul Guide Lantern, do they? Or are they playing one? The other thing that they play is, like, they also, like, Rides End, just as incidental exile effect, too, which sucks. The Pulse. I mean, I may as well kill this because we're not going to be able to save it to kill the Shieldred anyway. Oh, yes, and Lockdown. I always forget about Lockdown. I don't know how I can forget about Lockdown. They just died of the Harvester of Misery. The old Menace 5-4 will get him. Probably play 2 or 3 more games of the blue or green black list. See what we think. Yep, the deck's really good right now. Like really, really good. Yeah, that is real unfortunate when that happens. Agreed. I think the designs for the summons is one of the coolest designs I've ever seen. Like the fact that they are creatures but also do like step things on it too. I'm just so pumped for that set. Cannot wait. Just makes me want to start playing Final Fantasy games again too, because I haven't played any in so long. Like the last one I played was played through remake Final Fantasy VII Remake. The last one I played through. I need to play Rebirth. Yeah, yep. Glissa might actually be good again. Might be in a spot where Glissa's good. I'm in a spot where Glissa's not very good for a while. I want to do this first to see if we can get lucky to be able to attack in. We did. I do want to keep that. Attack for 4. We have the bigger Sentinel, which is huge. Hey, thank you for the follow, Zakdos. How are you doing this evening? Hope you're having a good night and enjoying the stream. And that's why we saved to go for the throat. Actually, we should probably Maelstrom Pulse that one. Yeah, it's nice to meet you as well. Do we want to try? We want to try to make this a 4-5. I think that's important. I failed. We failed. How dare they? Just got back. Nice. We got back. We left at like 6 this morning, so we got back a little while ago. It was an 8-hour drive for us. Yeah, I think that it's cool. It's a nice like change of pace for having the sagas be creatures as well, I think. Just a nice little change. I'm really glad we have another kill spell for that one. I would like to kill the very angry 5-5. Where are you going, opponent? This is a matchup where I don't think Obliterator is particularly good unless you find a spot for it. I think it's probably like a 2 of in this matchup. I think the Archfiend's probably better and definitely want the Annexes. Cut downs are pretty bad. Probably only want like 2 Duress. Want the Terror Sunders to combat the other Unholy Annexes. I think this is kind of like where I want to be. Bushwhack, like being able to bushwhack your Preachers into their Sentinels is pretty huge too. Yes, so they saw our Obliterator because I took it with the Dreams of Steel and Oil. And we killed 2 of theirs, one of the Maelstrom Pulse and one of the Go for the Throat. This hand's very good. We should have to decide if we want to bushwhack early to try to find another land. The gnome is back. How's it going, SP? How are you doing on this evening? No, my Bronco. My Snorse is gone. We're supposed to go find a land here, right? It's kind of awkward because then our third land won't come into play untapped. Alternatively, we could just cast. So we can play Restless Cottage, then Blooming Marsh, play Mosswood Dread Knight next turn, and then bushwhack if we have to. I think that's probably better. Our third land coming into play tapped is annoying. It being 3 mana is the problem. It is 1 mana too many. Jamming some Domain games. How's that going? Turns out Domain is a good deck, in case anyone was wondering. Pulse is still like a good card against Domain. It's just like right at the edge of being too slow. That was a huge draw. Are we supposed to Preacher or are we supposed to just like guarantee the card draw? I think we're supposed to get the card draw going. It does lead us to like taking quite a bit more damage this way, but I think it's worth it. Opponent is a swamp and or forest away. Well, I guess they're probably on all swamps just like we are. They could Pulsar Annex, be a little annoying. Well, I didn't have an answer to that. That's good. I'm just on Preacher Pass. Yeah, that card's gonna be way too slow. The 4 mana exile target permanent, right? Honestly, kind of surprised they didn't just kill our Preacher here and get more damage in, because that would have put us to 7. Oh, they have a Pulse. That would make sense, I guess. I think I'm just supposed to exile this. We should have gotten a land first. That was dumb. We missed our land drop this turn, or this turn for no reason. We should have bushwhacked, found swamp, and then Terra Sundered. We would have been in a better spot here. I mean, our turn would have been the same, but we could have went and bushwhacked this turn for another land. Could have been up 2 lands here, or up 1 more land. So here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go swamp. Then we'll Ritual Chamber. Make a 6/6. I'm assuming it's going to die. Oh, no. Okay, that's good for us. No removal spell is very good for us. If they go